News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Lions and tigers and bears on the first day of school. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Thursday, August 27, 2015. Right now, we do have an air quality alert for all of western Montana. It's kind of been that way for several days. We do have a very warm 60 degrees in Missoula right now. And our newscast this morning, sponsored by Missoula Nissan Hyundai. Drive what you want affordably. Stop by Missoula Nissan Hyundai and test drive Hyundai with America's best warranty on Brooks next to Southgate Mall. Yesterday was the first day of school for most Missoula kids, and according to School District 1 Communication Director Hatton Littman, the day was pretty normal except for all the lion and bear reports.
We have had reports starting on Monday of this week and continuing into today of bears and mountain lion activity in neighborhoods around some of our schools, but we haven't had any of those animals reported close to a school site. We do encourage parents to make sure that they make good travel plans for their children, whether that means accompanying them to the bus stop or accompanying them on their route all the way to school.
Many parents were also concerned about the smoke and how the school system would make the difficult decision about whether or not children could play outside.
As soon as air quality levels reach the unhealthy level as reported on the Today's Air website, we do advise schools to change their recess and their outdoor athletic activities and bring them inside.
Despite the lions and bears and skies filled with smoke, Littman said the first day of school went pretty smoothly. Now, in a related story, state wildlife officials did kill a young female mountain lion in a northeast Missoula neighborhood after receiving reports it was frequenting a residential area. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Wildlife Management Specialist Jamie Jonkel told the Missoulian newspaper they received the report about a cat trying to take a dog last week. Since then, the agencies received numerous reports about the lion being seen in a residential area. Lion specialist Bob Wiesner tracked the cat using trained hounds and shot it late Tuesday. Jonkel says deer in the area are drawing predators. Now let's talk about air quality. Air quality specialist with the Health Department, Sarah Cofield, told me yesterday, with smoke and unhealthy for sensitive groups, schools and daycares do take steps to protect their children.
Typically what you see at this particular concentration of smoke, daycares will keep their littles inside, but schools will typically let kids out until it hits unhealthy concentrations of smoke.
Cofield said the air quality yesterday wasn't quite as severe as was originally reported.
The visibility, you can actually see the outlines of the mountains in the valley today, and our concentrations are not as bad as they look. They aren't good. It's not good, but it's not as bad as it has been.
A weather system this weekend is expected to bring some relief from the smoke. 23-year-old Robert Irvin is in the Missoula County Jail on a $100,000 bond this morning after allegedly breaking into his wife's home Tuesday night, assaulting her and spraying her, his 2-year-old child, and his sister with mace. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Celine Kepke asked Judge Karen Orzak for $150,000 bail.
The state believes that the defendant is a danger to the community. The defendant is on probation for 2 felonies and 2 separate cases, both of which he was convicted of in the last year. The defendant was convicted of assault on a peace officer after the defendant drunkenly wrecked his car, then kicked a Montana Highway Patrol trooper.
Kepke said Irvin was also involved with methamphetamine.
The state has learned of recent tests that were positive for methamphetamines through his probation officer. And here, Your Honor, he admitted to Detective Lear that he was using meth prior to committing this offense.
Judge Orzak, noting that Irvin was currently living at the Pavarello Center, set bail at $100,000. His next court appearance, September 9th. An independent review of a half-dozen infant and child autopsies by a former Montana Associate Medical Examiner has found serious deficiencies in how they were conducted. State officials asked the reviewer whether the autopsies met National Association of Medical Examiners standards and whether Dr. Thomas Bennett's conclusions were supported. Dr. Adele Lewis of Tennessee found all 6 autopsies fell short of the standards. Before he resigned, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Gary Dale raised concerns about the autopsies, prompting that review. The Montana Public Service Commission has reached a settlement with CenturyLink over service complaints from customers. PSC Public Information Officer Eric Sell explains.
The complaint originated out of service quality in the Missouri River area in between Great Falls and Helena, but now it's kind of evolved also into providing access to broadband service in rural Montana.
The decision will impact how CenturyLink spends its high-cost support subsidies from the FCC.
It had to do with federal subsidies that are intended to provide rural broadband access to rural parts of Montana. So this decision was really important because it brings in about $91 million over the next 6 years that CenturyLink is required to invest in broadband in rural Montana.
Under a broad definition of rural, Cell says CenturyLink was investing those subsidies into some of the higher-paying projects in cities like Missoula rather than the higher-cost projects they were intended to support. As Montanans are choking on summer smoke, a federal policy about firefighting helicopters is getting lots of criticism from state politicians on both sides of the aisle. The Huey helicopter, one of the resources Montana DNRC has used to fight fires fast. There are 5 stationed around western Montana, 1 here in Missoula. But Montana Republican Senator Steve Daines says there are significant limitations on where these helicopters can go.
The federal government has a policy and regulation in place that will not allow us to use those very same helicopters that we're using to fight fire on state and private ground. We can't fight them on federal ground. And we've had examples where we could have put our Hueys in operation within a half hour to help, on first attack, put a fire out, and instead had to wait 4 or 5 hours before a contract with the federal government that is permitted to do that.
Daines isn't alone in his criticism. Governor Steve Bullock has also written to the department heads for a change.
I was on the phone yesterday with, in fact, the head of the United States Forest Service, Tom Tidwell, talking through how do we remove this regulation? How do we get lined up so we can put these resources in play? I wrote a letter to Secretary Vilsack this week as well, putting pressure on him. And we're getting some good discussions. Governor Bullock and I and others are working together on this. And this is one of these nonsense federal regulations that needs to get changed.
Time is of the essence when it comes to fighting fires. One of the successes in the 2015 firefighting year has been the swift outage of numerous Montana fire starts that were never able to burn past an acre. Newstalk time now, 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Areas of smoke today with our high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Tonight, lows will drop back into the mid-50s. Isolated showers and thunderstorms return to the forecast Friday through the weekend. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.